Hey guys, what's up? It's Drew here, quick video blog. I wanted to give a blog today on how New York City has gone full retard. New York City and de Blasio, that idiot, has gone full retard. And I'm making this video because, regardless of what you think or how you feel about vaccines, diseases, and how to eradicate them, one thing is for certain. The danger of not eradicating a disease or anything like that does not supersede individual free will. And I'll tell you why. You can look at this, if you're looking at this logically, with historical context, with intelligence, if you're looking at this logically, you need to look at this with historical context. You have to, okay? You have to. All right. If you're looking at this logically and not using fear or emotions or anything else that muddles your thoughts, you would come to the conclusion that freedom supersedes the potential eradication of a disease. The reason why you would come to that conclusion, if you're using logic and if you're using your intelligence, is because without freedom, and without the liberty to make your own choices, it doesn't matter how long you live, okay? And plus, if you are indeed truly fearful for your life, if you're indeed truly fearful, the vaccine is available. If you're scared, the vaccine is available. There is no need for people to mandate that 100% of society comply with their demands. There's no need. Also, if the government can forcibly inject you as an adult, you are no longer a free human being. You see, it's different when we're talking about children. It's different when we're talking about animals. But when we're talking about human being adults, who are the children and who are the adults? Because that means that lawmakers that are no smarter than you, that are no more intelligent than you, that are no more capable than you, that are no more, they are making decisions about what you must put in your body. By giving your consent to this, you are a slave. I'm not saying that if you, after a knowledge of your own body and after a knowledge of your own immune system, let's just say you are immunodeficient or you are prone to, getting sick from this thing. You had a weak immune system. If you made a decision to get vaccinated out of knowledge of your own body, that's different. But if you're coerced, if you're forced into making this decision just so you can live a normal life, that is evil. That's demonic. Okay? And it's that kind of thinking, it's that kind of mentality, it's that kind of action and that kind of practice that leads to dystopian, draconian, totalitarian societies. Now, some people are going to come to this video and they're going to say, oh, it's not draconian, it's not dystopian, it's not totalitarian, it's not any of these things. We just want to save lives. Well, under that mentality, you can justify almost anything. You can justify almost anything under that mentality. If the ends justifies the means, how is forcing people to inject something into their body any different from eugenics or racial cleansing? How is that any different? And then people say, oh, it's to eliminate a dangerous virus. Again, the survival rate for this thing is around 94%. Okay? The survival rate is around 94%, right? Without vaccines or anything. With a vaccine, they said it climbs to around 97%. So it gives you about 3 points up. Also, people who are vaccinated can still spread it, right? Logically, this makes no sense. This is a move for power. And those of you who have never been in power games and who have never had to engage in these things and who have never had to punch a bully in the face, you are not ready for this because you actually believe that if you comply and if you do everything that you're told, that this will stop and you'll get your life back and you'll get your freedoms back. That's not true. Anybody who's benevolent would not try to take your freedoms away in the first place. Plus, your freedoms are not government given, they're God given. The government can try and infringe upon them, but your freedoms don't come from the government. Your freedoms are inherent. The creator, your creator, if you believe in God, your creator even gives you a choice, whether to choose him or not. Your creator gives you a choice. The only thing that God doesn't give you a choice over are universal laws. Universal laws being that if you put your hand in fire, you'll get burned. If you stay submerged in the water too long, you'll drown. You know, if you jump off a cliff, you cannot defy the law of gravity. So God makes those laws, you know. But forcing saying that, being forced to inject yourself with a foreign object has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with free will, and it has everything to do with an abuse of power. Period. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. You can try and rationalize this and justify this however you want. You can try to say it's to save lives. But again, if your thinking persists, what kind of society are we going to live in? What kind of society are we going to live in? What's next? When they say, in order to eradicate cancer, you are forced to take this. Oh, and people are going to say, well, the difference is cancer is not contagious. Well, what if they want to one day eliminate the common cold or the flu, because the flu or the common cold has killed people who are elderly, right? And they say, in order for you to eliminate the cold or the common flu, you've got to take this now. Where does it stop? Once you've opened the door, where does it stop? You think you're going to have the decision on where it stops? How? If you can't have the decision now, how are you going to have the decision later? What if they come up with 50 different variants and you need to get 50 different shots? Where do you draw your line? For some people, they don't draw a line at all. For some people, they'll take whatever the government says, whatever the media says, and they will keep going. For some of us, that's slavery, that's bondage, that's living in fear, and we're not standing for it. Some of us are not going to make it. And I'm not talking about we're going to get wiped out by a disease. Some of us are simply just not going to be able to exist in this coming new world order, because some of us believe in freedom at our core. And I'm sure the government or whoever's in power, whatever tyrant is in power, is going to try to make examples of such people. Aware, well aware. But you know what? To those people watching this video, we're all going to end up in the grave, no matter what. You may extend your life by complying with this government, but you know what? You're going to have a spirit of cowardice in order to do that. You're going to have a spirit of selfishness and self-preservation to do that. You're still going to end up in the grave, and your spirit is still going to have to answer for what it stood for in your time under the sun. So you might as well stand for courage, because the upside of courage and the upside of standing for your freedoms and standing up for your rights is that not only could you possibly potentially enable a freer, more relaxed, more liberty-induced society, but your spirit is also strong because you're standing up for your morals, you're standing up for what you believe in. But if you concede, if you consent to this tyrannical overreach of the medical community and the government, not only are you ensuring that one day you will be a victim of their abuses, but you are giving your spirit over to the spirit of dominion and domination. Now, if you really believe that you're saving lives, that's on you. That's on you. If you really believe that you're saving lives. But again, whether you believe you're saving lives or whether you believe you're preserving your own life, at the end of the day, you have consented to the government forcibly injecting human beings, free human beings. You have consented to that. And if you have done so, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself if you've done that. Because at the end of the day, the door that you've opened is not going to close when you want it to close. If you don't have a choice now, what choice are you going to have later when they have more power? What choice are they going to have when they get more people on the bandwagon? If you don't speak up now, what choice are you going to have later? And then people go, oh, are you a doctor? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Can your doctor walk into your house at 2 a.m. under the guise of saving your life and pump your body full of drugs because they want to? Can your doctor say, you know what? I feel that you're at risk for heart disease. So by government order, by my decree, I'm banning you from McDonald's. I'm banning you. No, you still have a choice. You still have a choice. It's not the government's place. It's not your doctor's place to make these choices. It is your choice. And you're giving away your free will. For what? so you can have a normal life? How much time is your consent going to buy you? How much time for rights that you already had, by the way? Nobody realizes that before you could have gone to a restaurant and eaten no problem. They're bargaining your freedom and your free will for rights that you already had. You have to inject yourself now with a foreign object for rights that you already had. Does that make any sense to you? Whether you're a doctor, whether you're in medicine, whether you understand the epidemiology, whether you think you're an expert or not, the principle still stands. You don't have a choice. And that is the problem. That is the problem. The problem is not whether lives will be saved or not. People die every day. People have been dying for thousands of years, millions of years probably, right? Animals, people, we all go to the grave at one point in time. You'll take your vaccine and you're still going to end up in the grave like every other human being in history. You might get there a little bit later. You might get there 30 years later, 50 years later, 20 years later, 10 years later, but you're going to get there. And in the blink of eternity, in the length of eternity, it's really the blink of an eye. So some of us have decided to live our lives based on certain principles, okay? And some of us have not. Some of you guys, all you care about is self-preservation, pain and pleasure, and that's what you're here for. That's what you've decided you're here for, to each their own and whatnot. But you're not ensuring any more pleasure and any less pain by complying with bullies, by complying with people who tell you what to do. You're not extending that. You're just delaying it. You're just kicking the can down the road. Eventually the bill's going to come due. Because once they can force you to do this, they can force you to do anything else. Rise up, don't comply, don't fall into this trap. Because after you fall into this trap, there's no going back. You're going to have to get it back in blood. There's going to be bloodshed for your freedom. Because people, at the end of the day, somebody who's coming to take your freedom is not your friend. I don't care what they say they're taking your freedom for. They're not your friend. They're not trying to help you. They're not trying to help you. And if the ideas were good, they wouldn't need to force it on you. They wouldn't need to do that. You're not a child. You're an adult. You can make decisions for yourself. You know, this is not comparable to wearing shoes or a shirt to enter a venue. This is something going inside your body. I repeat, this is something going inside your body. Inside your body. Wake the fuck up.